We are on our last video now for the right triangle unit, and we're going to talk about two special kind of right triangles. And these triangles, you should have a page right now of notes so you are able to actually copy these down so you don't have to write them out by hand. You can look at your sheet. But we're going to talk about two different right triangles of 45, 45, 90. And again, it's 45, 45 because 45 plus 45 plus 90 gives you 180. And then the second one is a 30, 60, 90. So these are just going to be some special tricks to find the missing sides without having to do Pythagorean theorem, trigonometry, or geometric mean. So they're just shortcuts. So let's start first with the 45, 45, 90. So what I want you to do on your notes is I want you to draw diagonals in all of these shapes. Now hopefully you know that these are all squares. So all of the corners have right angles in them, so you can draw those in. And then also you have, they're going to be equal all the way around. So this first triangle, let's put a 1 all the way around. So all sides on a square equal, so let's put a 1 there. We're going to put a 2 all the way around this square, and then we're going to put a 3 all the way around this square. So if I had a square and I used a diagonal just like this and went right through the middle, what are the angles going to be right here in those corners? 45, 45, because I split them in half. So that's why these are 45, 45, 90. They're derived from a square. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the Pythagorean theorem to find out what the length of the hypotenuse or the diagonal is going to be. So remember, in Pythagorean theorem, we're going to do 1 squared plus 1 squared equals x squared, because those are my two legs right here. So that's 1 plus 1, which is 2, equals x squared, and then I take the square root on both sides, and so I get x equals the square root of 2. And I'm going to leave it just like that, just so you can see this pattern that's coming up. Alright, let's do this triangle. So again, I'm finding the hypotenuse right here, and the two legs are 2 and 2, so I'm going to do 2 squared plus 2 squared equals x squared. 2 squared plus 2 squared would be 4 plus 4, which is 8. So in order to unsquare that, I take the square root. Let's go ahead and break it down. So I'll get 4 and 2, which this will break out as a 2. So I'll get 2 square root of 2 equals x. Okay, let's try the 3 now. Hopefully you're seeing a pattern right now. So now again, here's the hypotenuse. We're going to figure this out. That's my x. So I'm going to do 3 squared plus 3 squared equals x squared. And that's 9 plus 9, which is 18. So I need to find the square root of 18. And again, when I break that down, 9 and 2, so this breaks out as a 3 square root of 2. So do you see any pattern that's happening here? Hopefully you are, and you're seeing that all of the hypotenuse are the same as the side, but it's just multiplied by the square root of 2. So like this is 3 square root of 2, this one was 2 square root of 2, and this one is like 1 square root of 2. So the simple rule to find the hypotenuse of a 45, 45, 90 is to just multiply by the square root of 2. So that's what you want to fill in that blank underneath in the middle. So you want to do leg times the square root of 2 equals the hypotenuse. So if you flip to the back side, let's go over numbers 2 and 4, which have to deal with finding the hypotenuse. So in number 2, we're given that the leg is 3. So in 45, 45, 90, this is always going to be equal to each other. So you can go ahead and write a 3 in that spot of what x equals. And then we need to find out y. So all you have to do, remember, is multiply to get the hypotenuse, multiply by the square root of 2. So y is going to equal 3 square root of 2, which we just did on the front. Now number 4, in order to get x, again, this is the hypotenuse. So again, looking at the rule, in order to get the hypotenuse, we just take the leg and we multiply it times the square root of 2. So this will be 8 square root of 2 is equal to x. And then y, which is your degree, is just going to equal 45 degrees. Okay, last one on 45, 45, 90 is number 6. So number 6 reads that the length of a diagonal of a square is 13 inches. So I'm going to draw the square, and the diagonal is 13. So they want us to figure out what is the leg that's out here. So how did we get to the hypotenuse? Didn't we multiply by the square root of 2? So how do you think that we would go backwards in order to find the leg? So how would we go in the opposite direction? Instead of multiplying, what would we have to do? The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So now we have to divide by the square root of 2 in order to get the leg. Because remember, the leg is smaller, so you want to divide it to make it smaller. So it would be 13 divided by the square root of 2. And remember, in our rules that we learned, you can't have a radical on the bottom. So we'll have to multiply by itself in order to get rid of it. So I'll multiply by the square root of 2 on the top and the bottom, which will give me 13 square root of 2 over 2 times the square root of 2 gives me the square root of 4, which is just 2. So there's our answer for the leg. And each of the legs are the same because they're equal on both sides. Okay, now 30, 60, 90 triangles are a little more complicated. So I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of detail. I'm just going to do this one time. So what you want to do is write in the angles. So this big angle in the corner is going to be 60 and this bottom will be 30. And in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, we don't have two legs that are the same. So what we usually do is this leg that's shorter is we call this the short leg. I abbreviate it as SL or short leg. And this side down here at the bottom, it's longer, so I label that as LL. Cool J, that is. And he is going to be the longer leg. And then, of course, your hypotenuse is always right here as your HYP. So on all your short legs, I want you to give the short leg a value of 1, 2, and 3 in each of these triangles. So I'm going to do first, we're going to use trig to find the value of our hypotenuse right here. So we're going to look at 30. So to find x, I would use the sine of 30 because this one over here is opposite over hypotenuse. So the sine of 30 equals opposite over hypotenuse. If you plug the sine of 30 in your calculator, you'll get 0.5 equals 1 over x. So we cross multiply and we get 0.5x equals 1. Divide by 0.5 and you will get x is 2. So as you can see here, what's going to happen is that all of these short legs, in order to get to the hypotenuse, you're going to have to multiply times 2. So you have to take the short leg times 2 and you'll get your hypotenuse. So here's our short leg of 2. In order to get to the hypotenuse, multiply by 2, and so your hypotenuse is going to be 4. And in this triangle, 3 is our short leg. Take 3, multiply by 2, and you'll get 6 as your hypotenuse. So that's the rule in your first blank, which I have right here. In order to get the short leg, you want to times by 2 in order to get the hypotenuse. Okay, now the long leg, what we have to do is we'll do a Pythagorean theorem to come up with this rule. So I'm going to, since I don't have any room over here, actually, I will erase it. And we can do this right here. So I'm going to do the Pythagorean theorem right underneath of it. And so let's say I have my two legs as 1 and y. So 1 squared plus y squared equals 2 squared. That was my hypotenuse. So I'm going to subtract 1 on both sides, which is going to end up being 3, because that'll be 4 minus 1. And then take the square root, so I'll have the square root of 3. All right, hang on to that thought. Now let's do it here. So now I'm going to do 2 squared plus y squared equals 4 squared. So I get 4 plus y squared equals 16. Subtract 4. And I end up getting, break this down, 4 and 3. A 2 breaks down, so 2 square root of 3. So look what's happening here. So instead of multiplying by the square root of 2 in order to get to the long leg, I'm going to times by the square root of 3. 2 square root of 3. So in order to get to the long leg here, it'll be 3 square root of 3. So let's fill in this blank now. Short leg times the square root of 3 will give you the long leg. So let's look at this first problem right here. And so you want to identify what they give you. So if you want to flip to the back, we're on number 3. So what they gave us was the hypotenuse. And so the only relationship we have is right here. So in order to get from the short leg, which is x right here, this is a short leg, to the hypotenuse, I had to multiply by 2. So in order to go backwards, what would I have to do? You would have to divide by 2. So therefore, your x, or your short leg, is going to be 9. And then the second rule is that once you have the short leg, you can take the short leg and you can multiply by the square root of 3, and you get the long leg. So this will be 9 square root of 3. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just pause here, and we will go over some more in class, and hopefully you will get the hang of it by then.